Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's an honor and a privilege to be with you. My name is Jason Chaffetz. I'm from Utah, and I am not Mitt Romney. If you're looking for Pierre Delecto, you need to go down the hall, go left, and then just keep going left until, well, just keep going left. That's where you'll find him. I have a book that's coming out, and I am in the book selling mode. It's called They Never Let a Crisis Go to Waste, The Truth About Disaster Liberalism. And I want to talk about disaster liberalism, but I want to talk about it in the context of elections. Because there's a reason why Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and the liberal left is focused on elections. You know, there was a saying by Will Rogers, I loved it. It said, the opposite of progress is Congress. He was a smart guy. He was fun. You know, in my lifetime, liberalism, it meant everything goes, right? Liberalism is everybody's welcome, everything goes, there's no bounds. In fact, I looked it up on dictionary.com. Here's what it said. Liberalism, a political or social philosophy advocating the freedom of the individual. And I started giggling right then, and I kept going, and it said, parliamentary systems of government, nonviolent modification of political, social, economic institutions to assure unrestricted development in all spheres of human endeavor, and governmental guarantees of individual rights and civil liberties. And I thought, you know, something's changed in my lifetime because that's not the liberalism that we have today. Today we have disaster liberalism. See, they want more control, more power, more money, and the solution to everything is government. You know, I was fortunate enough to be the chairman of the Oversight and Government Reform Committee. When the Democrats took control of the House, they changed the name of the committee. It's now called the Oversight and Reform Committee because they don't believe government can do anything wrong. There's nothing to modify. There's nothing to change. There's no reform needed for government. They are the answer to all the solutions. It's conservatives who seek liberty and freedom and empowerment. And by the way, our rights come from God. They don't come from government. President Ronald Reagan, I was just a little kid when he was the President of the United States, one of my icons. I had the good fortune once, back in 1991, to actually shake his hand and get a picture with him. It's one of the ones I cherish the most. And it said, one of the things he said is, for the sake of peace and justice, let us move forward towards a world in which all people are at last free to determine their own destiny. See, I think the excitement we feel here at CPAC and like minds is because you're liberty-loving people. You care and love your country. And you're willing to do just about anything to protect her and serve her. And you want to leave that world a better place than how you found it. Unfortunately, we're up against this disaster liberalism because they've figured out that with a disaster, they get unlimited powers. They will take a crisis. Sometimes it's real. Sometimes it's just made up. And they will leverage that disaster because it's a crisis and we have to solve it. Therefore, we're going to bypass the normal legislative process and we're going to do it ourselves. Democrats are masters at painting pictures. They show you rioting, and they show you bigotry and scandals and immigration, and they attack Donald Trump, and even though it's moving in the right direction, they make it seem so scandalous. They take COVID and talk about grandma killers, and oh, there couldn't possibly be a vaccine, and Operation Warp Speed is just a fantasy, and they paint these pictures. And it gets frustrating and hard and difficult sometimes because you feel like you're up against the three branches of government, the executive branch, the New York Times, and MSNBC. Now, probably should have mentioned CNN, and specifically Anderson Cooper 360, but I got to tell you, it takes a lot of courage to name a show after the number of viewers actually watching it. So I left them off the list. They create facades, and they do it in unison with these so-called traditional media. And now they figured out that social media, they can't win that, so they need to suppress it. They need to cancel it. They need to get rid of it. They got to make sure that it doesn't get out there, that you all aren't allowed to communicate. So let's look at, again, a little bit deeper in terms of how the Democrats and the liberals do this and what they're trying to do. H.R. 1, House Resolution 1, was introduced in the 116th Congress as well as the 117th Congress. They modified it a little bit, made it even worse in the 117th Congress. It's called H.R. 1 because that is the Speaker's signature bill. That is the one she is signaling to the world that she wants more than anything else. And let there be no mistake. It wasn't about COVID. It wasn't about anything else. It was about elections. It's called the For the People Act. It has nothing to do about for the people. It has everything to do with winning elections, securing elections. And I'm going to read to you, and it gets to be a little exhaustive here, with some help from the Heritage Foundation in what they put together in their analysis of H.R. 1. It really is a one-size-fits-all, and again, this is focused on elections. One-size-fits-all elections run by D.C. partisans for their own electoral benefit. It mandates 15 days of early voting. And keep in mind, I want to put the context here, elections are run locally by your counties. They're certified by states. But they want federal control. And I got to make sure, even though the fiasco and the concerns, the deep-seated legitimate concerns that you had about in the integrity of the election, don't fall into the trap that the liberals want us to go, which is federalizing this. If you think there are problems now, this is the kind of stuff that the liberals want to do. Requires automatic voter registration for those who get driver's licenses, welfare, Social Security, go to prison, or receive Medicare, whether those voters are eligible to vote or not. It mandates online registration, which can be vulnerable to cybersecurity issues. No fault absentee voting, which means, hey, I made a mistake, it doesn't matter, you go ahead and count that ballot. Requires states to allow ballot harvesting, requires states to allow felons to vote, prohibits election security measures, bans voter ID requirements and signature notarization, mandates same-day registration, which makes fraud easier, wreaks havoc at polling places, forces states to count votes submitted up to 10 days after the election, prohibits states from doing routine voter list maintenance, including checking eligibility and removing ineligible voters, restricts the use of the United States Post Office database to verify lists, limits public disclosure of voter lists, ensuring third-party groups cannot verify the accuracy of voter rolls, prohibits the use of undeliverable election mail as the basis for challenging their eligibility, stacks the deck for the Democratic Party by reducing the Federal Election Commission from 6 seats to 5, ensuring that the power and control controls enforcement, transfers the right of redistricting from state legislators to independent commissions that cannot be voted out, mandates the inclusion of illegal aliens in redistricting, politicizes the IRS, limits the ability to challenge H.R. 1. Challenges can only be filed in the D.C. District Court, and requires all plaintiffs, regardless of the number, to file joint papers or to be represented by a single attorney, expands censorship of political speech, imposes onerous costs or regulations, and nonprofit disclosure requirements will subject donors to political harassment. That's just the summary of what this one bill does, and it's her #1 vote. So, what are we to do? What are Republicans to do? The magic of the Trump administration, with the policies that Donald Trump led us through. You know, I think an honest assessment would say, I wasn't quite sure he was going to be the most conservative president, but his 4 years in office proved that he was the most conservative president. Donald Trump and the administration, what the traditional media tries to do is keep it on the cult of personality. What they don't understand about MAGA, what they don't understand about you, what they don't understand about what the magic have happened for 4 years, is that the policies that were instituted by cutting back regulation, cutting taxes, allowing people to be more in control of their own destiny, that empowered people, and it worked. Every single economic metric that was moving forward was better. It was better. And then COVID came. Now, COVID was their opportunity to take advantage of a crisis and start doing things that they would never, ever be allowed to do otherwise. Here's what I think conservatives should be fighting for as it results to elections. Follow the Constitution and advocate in every state and every county. Having the integrity of the ballot, making sure that we demand only legal, lawful votes be allowed, and that we verify that we authenticate the vote. We can lead the charge as conservatives on voter access while also authenticating the vote, using things like blockchain and other types of smart ways to think through this to make sure that that ballot integrity is there. You have to fight those, not necessarily in the halls of Washington, D.C., other than suppressing H.R. 1, but you've got to fight it in your own community. Every one of you has a county commissioner or somebody, other form of government there at the county level. That's where conservatives need to be organized and push. Ronald Reagan, one other thing that he said, let us be shy no longer. Let us go to our strength. Let us offer hope. Let us tell the world that a new age is not only possible, but probable. The thing I like and appreciate about the conservative movement is that we're happy warriors. We believe that the best days of the United States of America are ahead of us. I also believe in what Margaret Thatcher. If you go back and read the history and look at what Margaret Thatcher did in the days of the UK and the difficulties that she was facing, and she was trying to rise in power as a conservative, she said, first, we need to win the argument, then we go out and win the vote. We're like minds here. We believe that Donald Trump was one of the best presidents to ever serve our nation. But what I do hope in my heart of hearts, is that you find that passion in those issues and you break bread with your neighbors and your friends and the people who don't see it as clearly as you do. Maybe they voted for somebody else, but that you share from your heart why you believe what you believe. I think if you do that in an honest and sincere way, not to berate somebody, not to make them feel stupid, but to actually reach out, break bread, and explain to them why you believe what you believe. You know, with my wife and I, for instance, we believe in the right to life. We believe that an abortion is murdering a child. That's how we look at it. And so when we talk to friends or neighbors or loved ones or relatives, and they say, why do you believe so strongly? I mean, what about this tweet? And I'd say, you know what? I just believe in the sanctity of life. And I believe that we as a nation and as a party and as a people should fight for that little baby who doesn't yet have the voice and can't articulate the way you and I can. Talk from your heart, ladies and gentlemen. Explain why you believe what you believe. Look in the mirror. And don't just think that Donald Trump and Donald Trump Jr. and Laura and everybody else is going to take care of it. We have to do that individually. We have to tackle election security. We've got to be able to talk about these issues one at a time. Find those that you're passionate about, because there's a lot of people out there that are counting on you. Most people don't engage in an election, but you do. May God bless you. May God bless the United States of America. Thank you.